Now, do you have any marketing tips for screenwriters and also filmmakers to either help them with their own personal brand or the brand of the project? Because I've something like a movie like Kung Fury. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie that did so well that they're actually doing a feature of it now. That was such a well branded. I mean, so brilliantly branded. It was some guy from Sweden, I think, or something like that, who did it. And then so that's a great example of a project branding. But then there's filmmaker branding as well, or screenwriter branding in general. Like, any advice you have for marketing tips on how you can get them out there?
Well, it's funny because, it's the flip side of the coin. The more you brand yourself, the more pigeonholed you are. And then you want to shift from a historical biopic to a thriller. And, that's not what she writes, So I think Jeff Arch, who wrote Sleepless in Seattle, said once at Selling to Hollywood, you get nouns and verbs, right? Nouns and verbs. If you're going to use an adjective, they need to be precious. So with you, with your project, with your brand, make sure that you're thinking of your adjectives as almost SEO, search engine optimization words. Like, is it a hip word that's going to conjure that affinity market, the right age demographic? Are they words that really clearly delineate your worldview, the sensibility? Like, if you think of Wes Anderson, or you think of John Grisham. I mean, you can think of Stephen King. You can think of some of these people, or you think of like Jane the Virgin. Like, it's a kind of a campy telenovela with its tongue in its cheek. Like, it's really fresh in now. I mean, it's been around for a long time. Big Bang Theory, Making Geeks Hot. Like, all the different things they did, they knew what they were going after and what they were creating. So I think it's the same thing for you. If you have a project is easier to brand than a person, because the person might want to evolve and change. You look at the Beatles and the different influences they incorporated as they evolved, right? So music from India, like whatever it was that they were doing, they were evolving. So I think it's important that you make sure that the niche you're carving out for that project is really crystal clear to that niche. And that's a huge part of the collaborative process and making sure you're all making the same movie. Right. Even in a writer's group, that you don't have people trying to tug it and tell their story with your script. Like, what is the story you're trying to tell? And make sure you honor that vision. And then beyond that, how do you communicate that? And even, I've done some faith-based things that are not necessarily Christian faith-based, but you want to not alienate people who aren't feeling that. So, how can you kind of play down some elements so that you can get these pieces of the puzzle and then play up those benefits to other people? So it's what are the pieces of the puzzle? Same thing with ethnicity. I always try, I have a couple projects now where the characters are like Jordan or Chris. Could be a girl or a guy. Could be black, white, Asian, Native American. Like, I'm cool with that. So I try to write colorblind, unless it's really important that it's a ginger Scotsman, right? It's got to be something that woman has to be middle-aged or postmenopausal. That's what the story is. So whatever the issue is, but otherwise, can you be colorblind in your writing and your casting, so that now if you're pitching that to an African-American woman to play the lead, that same pitch package could go to an Asian guy to play that same role because it's a thriller and they are an agent or whatever. So it all comes down to who you're pitching to and why. What are you trying to get out of them? Are you trying to get them to fall in love with that role? Are you trying to get them to feel like they're going to make their money back? Are you trying to get them to open their doors after hours for a location? Like, what is the reason what are you trying to do with that?